Olympic tournament preview. Paul Hamilton joining us on the Wester Hotline as the men's games get started today on the hockey side. You've got Sweden playing host country Italy later this afternoon.
Good luck.
Czechia and Finland at 10:40. Yeah, 10:40.
Good luck to Italy.
Good luck to Italy against Sweden. Paul, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
We're all right. Been watching the women play as well, and Team USA took apart Canada yesterday. It was quite a dominant performance. We'll see if the men can do the same. But on the women's side, Paul, I don't know if how much of that game you caught, but it was not close, and it was also not unexpected.
Yeah, especially with Canada without their best player. Their captain was injured, and it might have been a little bit closer, but I don't think the result would have changed, even if she had played. So, not unexpected at all. It was a pretty one-sided contest. I remember the shots at one time, I think were 19-9. Canada just couldn't really muster anything at the United States net, and made it a pretty easy game for their goaltender.
So they're a heavy favorite now for the rest of the tournament. We'll see. The men's tournament starting today, Paul. Will you watch every game? What will your viewing schedule be like?
No, I'll probably mostly watch Sweden, the U.S., and Canada. I'll probably stick with those three as we go along. So unless one game really pops out that it's going to be a big game or something like that.
Saying nothing of like why they're out, but Russia's being omitted from this and not being a factor here. Does it feel like a 3-team tournament to you?
Yeah, well, Finland is the defending champs, but don't forget defending champs without NHL players.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But even with NHL players, Finland just seems to hang in there, and even though they don't have the same talent, but it's unfortunate the fans don't get to see Ovechkin and Kucherov and Kaprizov and Panarin and Vasilevsky and those guys in, but it's not for us to decide when it comes to that.
Right.
Yeah, Finland not having Barkov too. You're right. They always do seem to hang around and be competitive. They won silver in 2006.
Right.
But missing your number one center,
Yep.
That's tough to come back from.
Do you remember the first?
Paul, you've got a piece up at our website. You had a chance to speak with both Rasmus Dahlin and Tage Thompson before they left. The Sabres had their Olympic send-off night, and here we go. Let's start with Dahlin, who he's been obviously like a big name in Swedish hockey, and they've got their superstars over here in the U.S. I can think back to the Sabres going to Sweden, right, to play games over there and the international program. Dahlin's place with Team Sweden, I feel like we've wanted to see him have a bigger role in the past, and whether it's not getting the credit he deserves because the Sabres have not exactly been a good team, do you get the sense that he is starting to maybe on a higher level get that level of recognition that he's deserved probably for much longer than he's gotten it?
I didn't like the way they used him in the Four Nations at all. I mean, he didn't play any special teams, and they just continue to put Carlson out there. Carlson killed him. Carlson is a one-trick pony. He's an offensive guy, always has been, and he's gotten worse as a defensive type of defenseman. He went out there twice in overtime, played it, I think, I'm going by memory here, I think in the 2 overtimes, played a total of 32 seconds and was responsible for both goals against. And Dahlin never got on the ice, And, Dahlin never got on the power play. Now, all right, I can live with Carlson on the power play. That's what he does. But he didn't kill penalties, and I thought he and Forsling from Florida were one of their best pairs. I thought when he did play, he was one of their best defensemen out there. And I thought played well, but I just thought to myself, does he not get along with the coach? Or what is this? Why is he being used like this?
Yeah, I wondered the same thing. There were games where minutes-wise he was like the 5th defenseman for Sweden. And I wonder if that'll be different now. You mentioned Carlson struggling there. Yesterday I saw at practice Carlson maybe was on the number 1 unit, but Dahlin was on the 2nd. And you look at their pairs, Paul, and Dahlin Forsling, I just don't know how that wouldn't be your top pair, especially when Hedman is just coming back from injury. If he had been healthy all year and been playing great, maybe that would feel a little different, but he just got back for Tampa and wasn't playing a ton, so I don't know. I feel like Dahlin should and will is different, but I feel like he should be a guy that's playing 20-plus minutes for them every time they play.
And the Lightning were easing him in. He basically played like a third-pair defenseman against the Sabres right before break. And that, I think a lot of it has to do with age and just coming back from injury. So you would think that that would matter, but didn't matter in this. As I said in the last tournament, when he and Forsling, I thought, were their best pair.
It's been a long time since they went to the Olympics. Dahlin went as a 17-year-old back when.
He said it was a mistake.
Yeah,
it was. Well, actually, the Olympics were 2018, but don't forget that's February. He got drafted in June.
Yeah.
So
he's 17 years old, the Team Sweden on that team, and barely played.
Yeah, and he played 2 games, had an assist. He said he didn't really enjoy it. He shouldn't have gone. He said it just he was too young. He said he was too young to be there, realized it too late, and he goes, it's definitely he'll make this a much different experience for himself than that was.
What do you feel about Sweden's chances overall? Like definitive third, but would you see a gap between the top 2 and them?
Probably, but who knows? Will their goaltenders stand on their head or something? And that's the thing about these tournaments. You have a goaltender who goalies you in one game, you're done. I mean, not in this round, but in the next round, all of a sudden, you outshoot a team 51 to 15, and the other goalie makes 50 saves. What are you going to do? That's the one thing about this tournament, the way it's set up. It's a one-game deal once you get deeper into it, and you could be the better team, but a goalie can change the whole thing.
That's where the Americans are hoping to win, right, Paul? Is in goal. They have 3 goalies that are very good. Like all 3 might start for Team Canada if they're with Team Canada. These 2 teams, Paul, let's get the Tage's story on the U.S. side of it. The U.S., I don't know if, Joe, you've been referring to them as the favorites. I don't have them as the favorites. I have Canada as the favorite.
They're just below. Like betting odds, they're a very close second.
Okay, so almost co-favorites, but thought to have a great shot to beat Team Canada. As you look at the roster construction, Paul, it looks like Tage will be on the wing. And we've had this conversation about Tage on the wing versus Tage at center with the Sabres for a couple of years. He does very well at center. Early in the year, he was on the wing. How do you like him on the wing for this team? And just in general, how he plays when he's there?
He scored on the wing. I mean, with the Sabres when he's played there. Now this year, he really got going once they put it back at center. But I like who he's playing with Dylan Larkin, the Detroit Red Wings, who's a very good two-way centerman and can help, with a guy like Tage who maybe isn't as good in his own end. Now, the second practice, it was Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets, who was their other winger. And I thought, you know what? I like that line. I think they all complement each other in different ways with the way they play. So now he played a lot with Keller in the World Championship, and that didn't start off well. I mean, Tage wasn't scoring. They weren't scoring. It just didn't mesh, the way that. And then they started shifting the lines around a little bit. He did wind up with Keller again later in the tournament, but by the time he was scoring the golden goal and playing in that game, he wasn't with him anymore. So he has a familiarity with Keller, but I don't think it went as well as it could have. So I like him playing with Dylan Larkin.
And he's rotated with Connor on the other side, Kyle Connor, or Jack Hughes. Yeah, I wonder what, because it kind of is a bottom six role, Paul, but that line, it's not your, obviously your typical third line. Like Larkin, Thompson, and Connor, if that ends up being the 3, I mean, you got guys that could definitely score goals against anybody.
Yeah, please don't drive me insane and call him a third line and start numbering lines on Team USA. I mean,
well, but he won't.
We're not numbering lines in the Olympics. I mean,
but they're not going to play as many minutes as those top 2. I would be, at least I wouldn't expect Thompson to play like 20.
I think it depends how the lines are playing. If that line's playing better, they'll play more minutes. I mean, because you can, because it is evenly matched lines. So, if that line's going, they'll play more.
What do you think about the decision for Hughes to be a little bit further down on the line with Nelson?
Hughes has dealt with injuries,
Yeah.
This year. Nelson, what is he, 29 goals this year, something like that,
Yeah.
I believe. Really having a season. Now, how much of his goal scoring is playing with the team he plays for? I mean, he can score goals. There's no question about that, but he's usually not at 29 on February 11th. He plays on a really good hockey team. And if you're a good goal scorer and you play on a really good hockey team, I mean, if Tage Thompson played on the Colorado Avalanche, I don't think there's any question he'd probably score 50 goals. I think that helps. But in Hughes' case, he's just had a tough year when it comes to injuries.
Paul Hamilton on the Western Hotline. The U.S. plays tomorrow. Canada plays tomorrow. Rasmus Dahlin and Sweden play today. So, Paul, before we let you go, on the Sabres and at the break here, they had their little, I think Owen wrote about it at the website, called it a speed bump right before the end of the first part of the season. We get this break here, and Jarmo Kekalainen's out there with Team Finland in Italy. 5 games between the return and the trade deadline. Do you think that they will be making some sort of activity? Will there be activity from the Sabres at the deadline if you had to bet?
I would like to see. Now, first of all, approximately 96 points, somewhere in there is the cutoff for playoffs right now. So what does that mean for the Sabres? They have 25 games left. To get to 96 points, they would have to go 13-12. Basically play 500 hockey would get them to 96 points. 14-11 would get them to 98 points. So, they're in good shape. I'm not real concerned about what we saw as far as losing 3 out of 4. I think Kekalainen needs to be looking for a defenseman that can help maybe take some of these minutes off his defensemen. Since January 10th, you're looking at Dahlin playing 25-38. You're looking at Samuelsson averaging 24-14, Byram 23-54, and Power 23-21. That's too much in this schedule. I know they do play better the more they play, especially Dahlin.
They've 15 games in 29 days of March?
Yeah. I just think that's too much for the 4 guys. Not the last game, but I've liked how Bryson and Metz have played, but you can't play them too much. Timmins was playing, 19-14 when he went out. It's really hurt not having him on the penalty kill. The penalty kill has kind of gone down since. But 5-on-5, I wasn't all that extremely impressed with him anyway. He's got to be your number 6 guy. He can't be playing in the top 4 or something like that. I think the Kesselring experiment right now has to maybe be put off till next training camp. I mean, he's told us on the record that he's playing with an injury and will the rest of the season. I just don't think right now they can afford to just let him sit there and search for his game anymore. I think right now I'd have Bryson and Metz ahead of him. And I'd be looking for a rental type of defenseman that you can use that maybe can come in here and take some of those minutes off of the top 4.
Would it matter to you what type of defenseman that would be? Like, would you be thinking bigger body might be better, or does it matter?
I don't think it matters. I think it's just a guy who can defend well and play well and is good in his own end and is good getting the puck out of his own end. And I don't think it has to be a big. I need somebody that can take minutes off. I don't need some guy who can fight or put people through the back wall or somebody like that. I need somebody who can take minutes off that top 4 and not get them into jeopardy or something like that.
All right.
Up front, do you have any preference or ideas of what the Sabres might want to do there? And also, whether a big move would fit at all for them? I don't know if those guys will get traded. The St. Louis forwards get talked about a lot because they're so far down the standings, and it's going to depend if they actually want to blow things up. But do you see a move fitting for this team, Paul, at forward that would cost a lot, first-round pick, prospect level type of package?
Yeah, I would be looking for a top 9 person because they are so thin when it comes to depth there. That a couple of injuries kill them. So I definitely would be looking for somebody in a top 9 situation. Again, if it's as a rental, that's fine. I would have no problem with that. A guy who can help on the power play, although they have scored a power play goal in 6 consecutive games. And it would surprise people to know, I think, that they're 16th in the league on the power play, which is right in the middle. I think people think they're like 32nd when they watch the power play.
Sometimes it looks like it.
Yeah. That's why I said I think some people might be surprised to hear that they've scored in 6 consecutive games in 16th. And a face-off guy, I think if you're really think you're going to do well in the playoffs or whatever, Danforth I know is very good at face-offs, but he's only played 4 games. The broken kneecap, and so if they wound up with a face-off guy, I don't think it would kill him either.
All right. Thank you, Paul. Enjoy the tournament. We'll talk again, recapping some of these games.
Sounds good. Take care.
All right. Team USA tomorrow, Team Canada tomorrow, Team Sweden today at 3:10 p.m. The early game is at 10:40. Czechia and Finland. One quick thought on Team USA. I am one who is excited to watch a player we're supposed to not like anymore. I'm excited to watch my team have him again. Mm-hmm. He who shall not be named. Is it okay? Is enough time passed?
You can name him.
I'm very excited to watch Jack again and have him be on my team. Because I enjoyed that thoroughly. The team results, not so much. But watching him be on my team was awesome. And one quick note about the Four Nations. You remember the Four Nations gold medal game?
Yeah.
The thing I remember about that game is that Eichel was out there with McDavid for a lot of the game. Mm-hmm. And then they went to Matthews. And then McDavid scored the overtime game winner.
Right.
And maybe...
And I think Matthews was the one who lost him in coverage.
Yeah.
It was like Matthews and Fox kind of got crossed up and left McDavid all alone.
Like, Eichel... can take care of that line.
He's very good at that.
He can do that. Yeah. And he can also, of course, score. But you want to see what you should probably do? I would not make that mistake again.
And Eichel, at this point, like I look at the U.S. roster right now, the lines, what they've done this year in the NHL. Like Matthews, he's the captain, and I think most would look at him in a broader scope as, well, that's America's best player. That's the U.S. best player. But this year... that has not been true at all.
Yeah.
And I look at the U.S. roster right now and say, I don't even think it's close. I think the best player on Team USA is Eichel. Yeah. He has been all year. He's putting up the numbers for it. And maybe he was this way in Buffalo and we just didn't appreciate it as much. Or maybe he just has gotten leaps and bounds better. But you mentioned like that play. His ability in his own end has gone through the roof. Like he finished 5th in Selke voting last year. Like he has become an all-around dominant center, and I look at a great U.S. group of forwards, and I think right now
he's their best player.
He's their best player.
Yeah.
So Elliot Friedman tweeting out
the best forward. Maybe you want to give Quinn Hughes best player.
Quinn Hughes is incredible.
Their decor as a whole is as maybe one of the best that's ever been assembled.
Friedman tweeting out the lines at Canada's practice. McDavid with Celebrini and Wilson. Mm-hmm. Crosby with Marner and Stone. McKinnon with Hagel and Reinhart. 2 former Sabres. Hagel and Reinhart. Horvat between Marchand and Suzuki.
Yeah.
Man, those 3 centers down the middle.
The 3-center thing is,
Tom Wilson, though, on top.
I know.
Tom Wilson. That's like a
Zach
U.S.
Hyman.
roster decision.
Yeah, Zach Hyman role for Tom Wilson.
So maybe
Wilson. He's going to score 6 goals because he's on McDavid's wing. And it's going to, see, this is why they brought. Anybody could score 6 goals with that guy, but I guess. Fine.
Wilson's a better player than he gets credit for a lot of the time. But he should not be playing on a line with Connor McDavid.
803-0550 and 1-888-550-2550.
He's there because the Kachucks are there.
Tom Wilson?
Yeah. Right? He's there because of the Kachucks.
Did Eichel play? Who did he play with at the Four Nations? Was it with the Kachucks?
Yes.
Yeah.
And I bet those are the 2 lines that get matched up. I bet it's Eichel versus McDavid.
That's awesome.